Well, thank you very much, Chairman Belgarakis, and thank you to our witnesses for bearing with us. Your opening statements were very persuasive. It's really refreshing to hear advocates like you pressing Congress to act. It's long overdue for the United States of America to adopt a basic fundamental privacy law online. So as you raise your voices and encourage us to do that, it is very well received here in the committee. Thank you for recognizing our bipartisan work on ADPPA. For many years, I've had particular concern for what big tech platforms do to exploit our children, to target them with advertising, to surveil them, even though we have a COPPA law, it still is not followed. It must be updated. So when you think about AI and kids, it seems like all of the online harms directed towards children when it comes to AI would just be exacerbated, would be even more severe. And Ms. Kac, in your testimony, you raised a couple of examples. Could you dive in deeper in AI and the special considerations when it comes to young people?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Castro, for that question and for raising this crucial issue. I think let's start with the ADPPA, which has been the subject of today's discussion across the board. The ADPPA is, we feel, one of the strongest ways of not just protecting everybody's privacy, but specifically protecting the privacy of children. So kids' data is sensitive data under the Act, which affords it the highest and strictest levels of protection. We have specific prohibitions against targeted advertising on children. And I'll stop there to say that these particular specific prohibitions on targeted advertising are essentially getting at the root of the business incentives for unfettered collection of data, right? They're fixing the business incentives, and what we've tried to emphasize today, what I've tried to emphasize is that if you're tackling the business incentives, you're really future-proofing the law. So when people ask, what do we do about AI, we can point to the ADPPA and say it is structurally changing the business incentives so that companies, whether it's AI or it's the next big thing 5 years from now, are structurally not incentivized for the irresponsible collection of data, particularly when that data is of children. And I think I would kind of, moving away from this particular example of the latest AI fad, which is generative AI, we can look at examples of where facial recognition systems are absolutely proliferating across schools today. We're really happy to hear that the New York State has actually banned the use of facial recognition systems in school, because speaking of notice and consent breaking down, the clearest example of that would be in a situation where you're at a school where you have essentially minors that are in no position to consent, choose or otherwise, to these invasive face surveillance tools. And I think the need of the hour is not just to put in place regulation, but specifically to put in place bright line rules against the kinds of data collection that we never think should be permissible.
It's kind of like the example that Mr. Gregg gave when it comes to an actor and their personal privacy, the ability to control their own image. So is what you're saying, gosh, think about children who do not have the ability to consent when it comes to facial recognition, and that could be exploited by others when it comes to artificial intelligence.
Absolutely, Ms. Castro, and I don't think that these are abstract or theoretical concerns. We already know that there are databases of children's images and videos that are being used in real time by AI companies to produce, to generate further material that is extremely sensitive and implicates these children's faces, among other things. So, again, we're not living in a moment where we need to hypothesize about these risks. These risks are ever present, and a data privacy law in particular that protects everybody's privacy would be the best way to protect children's privacy as well.
Yeah, and if I may add
yes,
something.
Go ahead.
And you've been a leader on, protecting kids, but as we know, kids act impulsively. They are a vulnerable population. That's why Congress passed COPPA in the first place. And in the ADPPA, and the bill you'll reintroduce this year, there are going to be protections against minors 17 and under that we don't see anywhere else, not in a single state law. So just coming back to one of the topics of this hearing, I think it's critically important that you move that legislation, and you will be doing taking a major step forward if you can enact the ADPPA. or the ADPPA 2.0, it'll be very protective of children from abusive AI.
I agree. I don't think we have time to waste. I'll look forward to the bipartisan bill coming back. I yield back. Thank you.